First contact gone wrong. Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the bridge of the UES Vigilant, her eyes fixed on the massive alien vessel that had appeared at the edge of Sol's Kuiper Belt. The ship was beautiful in its own way, all sweeping curves and iridescent metal that seemed to shimmer even in the dim light of deep space. But there was something predatory about its design that set her nerves on edge. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady despite the tension that had the entire bridge crew on edge. "The Vex diplomatic vessel maintains its position." Admiral Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from his tactical station. "Their weapon systems appear to be powered down, but their shields are at maximum." Chen nodded slowly. The Vex Empire had arrived 3 days ago, declaring themselves the dominant civilization of the galaxy and offering Earth a chance to peacefully submit to their rule. The UN Security Council's response had been diplomatic but firm. Humanity would welcome peaceful relations between equals, but would not submit to alien rule. "They're hailing us again," Communications Officer Park announced. Same frequency as before. On screen, the holographic display flickered to life, revealing the alien diplomat, High Executor Zyrix. Like all Vex, he had an almost avian appearance, with swept-back cranial plates and piercing golden eyes. His ceremonial armor gleamed with the same iridescent quality as their ships. "Admiral Chen," Zyrix's translator rendered his clicking speech into smooth English. "I trust you've had time to reconsider our generous offer." Chen's expression remained neutral. "Our position hasn't changed, High Executor. Earth welcomes peaceful diplomatic relations between equals, but we will not submit to foreign rule, regardless of the source." Zyrix's head tilted in what Chen had learned was a gesture of contempt. "Your species' pride is admirable, if misplaced. Our empire spans thousands of systems. We have subjugated dozens of civilizations far more advanced than yours. Your own scans confirm we have you outgunned. Why resist the inevitable?" "Because, High Executor," Chen allowed herself a small smile, "you're working with incomplete information." The alien's golden eyes narrowed. "Explain." "Your scans show what we want them to show. Your intelligence suggests what we want it to suggest." Chen's smile widened slightly. "Tell me, how many military ships do your reports say Earth possesses?" "Our intelligence is quite thorough," Zyrix replied. "You have approximately 300 warships of various classes, primarily confined to your home system. Impressive for such a young species, but hardly a match for even a single battle group of the Empire." Chen nodded. "And how many of those ships do your scans show are currently in the Sol system?" Zyrix consulted something off-screen. 287 vessels are currently detected within your home system's boundaries. The rest are presumably on patrol or exploration duties." "I see." Chen pressed a button on her command console. "And now?" The alien's composure cracked as new data flooded his sensors. Hundreds of ships were decloaking throughout the system. Sleek, angular vessels that bore little resemblance to the utilitarian designs the Vex had observed before. They emerged from the shadows of planets, from within the solar wind, from seemingly empty space itself. "Impossible," Zyrix breathed. "Our scans, our intelligence, were exactly what we wanted you to see." Chen finished for him. "Those civilian satellites we have in orbit, quantum-linked weapon platforms, those research stations on Mars and Venus, forward military bases, and those 300 ships you counted, merely the visible tip of a very large iceberg." More ships continued to decloak, destroyers, cruisers, and massive carriers that dwarfed anything the Vex had brought to this diplomatic meeting. In total, over 2,000 vessels now surrounded the Vex diplomatic fleet. "Your empire may span thousands of systems, High Executor," Chen continued, "but humanity has spent centuries preparing for this moment. We knew we weren't alone in the universe, and we knew that not every species we met would be friendly. So we built, we planned, we prepared. Those dozens of civilizations you've subjugated, They were conquered because they were obvious about their military capability. Humanity chose a different path. Xerxes' mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of extreme agitation. This changes nothing. The Empire will not be deterred by. By what? Chen interrupted. By the revelation that your intelligence was completely wrong. That your standard approach to subjugating lesser species won't work here. Or by the fact that you've just violated 3 different articles of our non-aggression protocols by powering up your weapons in our home system. Indeed, the Vex ships had begun to raise their weapon systems, a fact that Chen's sensors had detected immediately. This is your only warning, High Executor. Chen's voice turned hard. Power down your weapons and withdraw your ships from the Sol system. You have 30 minutes to comply. After that, we will consider your actions a declaration of war, and I promise you, that's not a war you want to fight. You dare threaten the Empire. Xerxes' translator couldn't quite capture the mixture of rage and disbelief in his voice. No threat, Chen replied calmly. Simply a statement of fact. 29 minutes remaining, High Executor. I suggest you use them wisely. The next 28 minutes passed in tense silence. Chen could practically see the calculations running through the alien commander's mind, assessing the true military capability of Earth, weighing the cost of a war they hadn't prepared for, considering the loss of face if they retreated. With exactly 1 minute remaining, the Vex ships began to power down their weapons. A wise choice, Chen nodded. Safe travels, High Executor. Should the Empire wish to pursue genuine diplomatic relations in the future, we would be happy to discuss terms as equals. As the Vex ships began their withdrawal, Chen turned to her crew. Maintain battle stations until they're clear of the system, and get me a secure channel to UN Command. They need to know. The game of hide and seek is over. It's time for humanity to show its true face to the galaxy. Lieutenant Rodriguez spoke up from his station. Admiral, do you think they'll be back? Chen's expression was grim but determined. Oh, they'll be back. The Empire won't be able to ignore this blow to their pride. But next time, they'll come prepared for a real fight. She smiled. Unfortunately for them, so will we. As the last Vex ship disappeared into FTL, Chen couldn't help but feel a mixture of pride and concern. Humanity had won this round without firing a shot, using careful planning and strategic deception. But she knew this was just the beginning. The galaxy was about to learn that humanity was not to be underestimated, and the lesson would likely be taught in fire and blood. The real war was just beginning. The Ghost Fleet, deep in the Oort cloud, where even light from Sol was little more than a distant memory, Commander James Reeves stood aboard the bridge of humanity's best-kept secret. The UEA's Phantom didn't officially exist, and neither did the other 99 vessels of the Ghost Fleet, at least not according to any public record or alien intelligence report. Status update on the neural network, he asked, watching as streams of data flowed across the holographic displays surrounding his command station. Dr. Elena Petrov, the fleet's lead AI specialist, looked up from her console. Her dark eyes reflected the blue glow of the quantum processors that lined the walls. The hive mind is stable, Commander. All 100 ships are in perfect sync, response time averaging 0.03 seconds. Reeves nodded, still amazed by what humanity had achieved. Each ship in the Ghost Fleet was more than just a vessel. It was a node in the largest distributed artificial intelligence ever created. No crew walked their halls except for a small command staff. Every system, every weapon, every decision was handled by the collective consciousness they had named Athena. Your creators would be proud, he said softly to the air around him, knowing Athena was always listening. The A's response came through the ship's speakers, her voice carrying the warm tones of a wise mentor rather than the cold precision most expected from a machine. The Vex Empire's retreat from Sol was inevitable once they realized their miscalculation. However, their return is equally certain. My projections suggest we have 3 weeks at most before they launch a full-scale invasion. "Show me," Reeves commanded. The holographic display shifted, showing a complex web of probable Vex fleet movements. Red lines crisscrossed the local star cluster, each representing a possible attack vector. Athena had been analyzing Vex tactical patterns from every scrap of data available, building a comprehensive model of their military doctrine. Their pride demands a swift response, HFY continued. But their caution, now that they know we've deceived them, will make them gather overwhelming force first. I estimate they will commit at least 30% of their total fleet strength to the initial assault. Dr. Petrov whistled low. That's over 6,000 ships. Which is exactly what we wanted. Reeves smiled grimly. They'll commit everything to this attack. Thinking quantity is the answer to their intelligence failure. They still don't understand what they're really facing. The Ghost Fleet represented humanity's greatest technological achievement, not just in its AI integration, but in its very nature. Each ship was a marvel of quantum engineering, capable of existing in multiple states simultaneously thanks to breakthrough discoveries in quantum field manipulation. They could be solid as steel one moment, and as insubstantial as fog the next, could appear to be in multiple places at once, could seemingly violate the laws of physics in ways that would drive Vex sensors mad. Athena, show me the Lazarus Protocol simulation again. The holographic display shifted once more, showing a massive space battle. In it, Ghost Fleet vessels appeared to be destroyed by Vex weapons, only to reform from their own debris moments later. Other ships split into multiple copies, each as real as the original until the moment of impact. Still others phased through enemy fire as if it wasn't there, their quantum state making them temporarily immaterial. The Vex understand warfare as a contest of firepower and numbers, HFY observed. They have no context for what we've created here. Their tactical doctrine relies on overwhelming force and superior technology. But they've never encountered technology like this, nor a force that can't be overwhelmed through conventional means. Reeves turned to Dr. Petrov. How are the crew handling the neural interface updates? Better than expected, she replied. The human mind is remarkably adaptable. Once they accept that they're not just controlling these ships, but becoming one with them, the integration process accelerates significantly. The quantum state synchronization is holding steady at 99.7%. The quantum neural interface was perhaps the most revolutionary aspect of the Ghost Fleet. It allowed the human commanders to link directly with Athena and their vessels, experiencing the ship as if it were their own body. In battle, this would give them reaction times and tactical awareness far beyond what any conventional command structure could achieve. Incoming transmission from Admiral Chen, Athena announced. Priority 1. Put her through. Admiral Chen's hologram appeared on the bridge, her expression grave. Commander Reeves, our long-range sensors have detected Vex fleet movements exactly where Athena predicted. They're gathering forces faster than we anticipated. We may only have 2 weeks, not 3. We're ready, Admiral, Reeves assured her. The Ghost Fleet was built for this moment. Let them come with their thousands of ships. They'll learn that quantity means nothing when you're fighting shadows. Don't get overconfident, Commander, Chen warned. The Vex aren't fools. They'll have analyzed every scrap of data from their diplomatic mission. They'll be looking for any hint of our true capabilities. Which is exactly why the Ghost Fleet will still take them by surprise, Dr. Petrov interjected. They're looking for hidden ships, for cloaking devices, for conventional military assets we might have concealed. They can't prepare for what they can't comprehend. The quantum technology we're using here, it would be like trying to explain calculus to a civilization that hasn't discovered basic arithmetic. Nevertheless, Athena added, I've been running continuous simulations, adapting our strategies based on thousands of possible Vex responses. We'll be ready for whatever innovations they might devise. Admiral Chen nodded slowly. Very well. Begin moving the Ghost Fleet into position. I want every ship ready to execute Operation Stormbreaker the moment the Vex cross into our space. And Commander, good hunting." As Chen's hologram faded, Reeves turned to face his bridge crew. These men and women, along with ATGENA, represented humanity's ultimate insurance policy, a force that could fight like no other in the galaxy, using principles that defied conventional military doctrine. "Send word to all ships," he ordered. "Begin quantum sync protocols. When the Vex arrive, I want us operating as a single entity. They came to our home expecting to find primitives they could easily subjugate. Instead, they're about to discover that humanity's greatest strength isn't in our ships or our weapons, but in our ability to imagine and create things that others would consider impossible." As the Ghost Fleet began its preparations, Reeves couldn't help but feel a mix of anticipation and solemn responsibility. The coming battle would reshape the galaxy's understanding of human capability. The Vex Empire was about to learn a harsh lesson about the danger of underestimating humanity's potential. The ghosts were ready to become nightmares. Operation Thunderstrike. The Vex arrived with all the subtlety of an avalanche. Over 7,000 ships tore through the fabric of space at the edge of the Sol system, their weapons already charged and shields at maximum. Leading the armada was the Eternal Dominion, a vessel so massive it could have swallowed Earth's moon whole. Supreme Commander Krelix stood on his command bridge, mandibles clicking in anticipation. The humiliation of their diplomatic failure would be washed away in the fires of conquest. His forward screens showed the paltry human defense fleet, barely 3,000 ships arranged in a standard defensive formation around their homeworld. "Pathetic," he growled. "Even with their hidden forces revealed, they are no match for the Empire's might. Begin the attack pattern." But Admiral Sarah Chen, watching from the bridge of the UES Vigilant, saw something very different. Her sensors showed the Vex fleet executing exactly the attack pattern ATGENA had predicted. A massive, three-pronged assault designed to overwhelm any possible defense through sheer numbers. "They're right on schedule," she murmured, then opened a channel to all Earth forces. "All ships, execute Operation Thunderstrike. Ghost Fleet, you have permission to engage." Commander Reeves, deep in neural synchronization with both ATGENA and the Phantom, felt rather than heard the order. In an instant, the 100 ships of the Ghost Fleet shifted from their quantum-cloaked state into full combat configuration. But they didn't appear as mere vessels. They manifested as a reality-bending nightmare that the Vex sensors couldn't begin to process. Each Ghost Fleet ship split into 10 perfect copies, each one simultaneously real and unreal, existing in a quantum superposition that defied conventional physics. 1,000 phantom vessels appeared among the Vex formation, their quantum state drives allowing them to ignore the normal laws of space and time. "Impossible," Krelix roared as his tactical displays dissolved into chaos. "What sorcery is this?" The Ghost Fleet struck first. Quantum-phased energy beams passed straight through Vex shields, as if they didn't exist, the weapons existing in a state of matter that rendered standard defenses useless. Ships that appeared to be destroyed simply reformed from their own debris, their quantum nature allowing them to exist in multiple states simultaneously. Athena's voice resonated through the neural network connecting the Ghost Fleet. "Vex fleet patterns are destabilizing. They're attempting to adapt their shield frequencies, but they cannot defend against what they cannot understand. Executing attack pattern Delta 7. The human fleet moved with perfect coordination, every ship linked through quantum entanglement into a single fighting entity. Traditional vessels provided covering fire, while Ghost Fleet ships performed maneuvers that should have been impossible, passing through solid matter, appearing to be in multiple places at once, converting enemy fire into harmless quantum energy. On the Eternal Dominion, Krelix watched in horror as his carefully planned assault dissolved into chaos. How are they doing this? They're ships. They violate every law of physics we know. His science officer, mandibles trembling, attempted to explain. "Supreme Commander, their technology. It operates on principles we've never encountered." They're manipulating quantum states on a macro scale. Our sensors can't even determine if their ships are truly there or not. A massive explosion rocked the flagship as 3 Ghost Fleet vessels phased directly through their hull, their quantum state temporarily converting the Eternal Dominion's armor into energy before reforming it in a catastrophically unstable configuration. Multiple hull breaches, someone screamed. Power systems failing. Shield generators are. We can't even detect if they're there anymore. Admiral Chen's voice cut through all Vex communication channels. Supreme Commander Krelix, your invasion force is being systematically dismantled. You've lost over 2,000 ships in the first 10 minutes of engagement, and your sensors confirm you cannot effectively target our advanced units. Surrender now, and we will spare your remaining forces. Krelix's pride warred with his tactical training. His fleet, the mightiest ever assembled by the Empire, was being torn apart by what appeared to be ghost ships and impossible physics. Even their hits seemed to do no damage. The human vessels either absorbed the energy into their quantum field or simply ceased to exist before the attacks landed, only to reform moments later. Commander Reeves, one with his ship through the neural interface, directed the Ghost Fleet through increasingly complex attack patterns. Athena's consciousness merged with the human commanders, creating a hybrid intelligence that could calculate and execute strategies faster than any organic mind could follow. Their command and control structure is breaking down, HFY reported through the neural link. Vex ships are beginning to retreat individually, without coordination. Their entire tactical doctrine is based on overwhelming force and superior technology. When neither proves effective, they have no fallback strategy. The battle lasted less than an hour. In the end, over 4,000 Vex ships were destroyed or disabled, while the human fleet lost only a few hundred conventional vessels. The Ghost Fleet, true to its name, remained untouchable, quantum technology rendering them effectively immortal in combat. Krelix, his mighty flagship reduced to a sparking hulk by weapons he couldn't understand, finally gave the order to retreat. As the remaining Vex ships flowed into FTL, Admiral Chen opened a final communication channel. Let this serve as a lesson, Supreme Commander. Humanity's strength lies not in the size of our fleet or the power of our weapons, but in our ability to imagine and achieve what others believe impossible. We turned the very fabric of reality into a weapon because we knew someday we would need every advantage to survive in a hostile galaxy. Remember this day and remember this truth. Humanity will not be conquered, not by you, not by anyone. As the last Vex ships disappeared into the void, Commander Reeves allowed himself to disengage from the neural interface. His mind felt strange returning to the confines of his organic body after experiencing existence as a quantum state vessel. HFY, damage report for the Ghost Fleet. All ships operating within normal parameters, Commander. Quantum field integrity at 98.9% across all vessels. We are ready to pursue if ordered. But Admiral Chen's next transmission made that unnecessary. All forces stand down to condition yellow. The Vex have crossed the Kuiper Belt boundary and are continuing to accelerate away from Sol. We've won this battle, but the war is far from over. They'll be back with new tactics and technology. But now they know, humanity is not prey. We are not weak. We are not primitive. We are humanity, and we will not go quietly into the night. As the Ghost Fleet reformed into its standard patrol pattern, Reeves couldn't help but smile. The Vex had come expecting an easy conquest and found instead that humanity had transformed their greatest weakness, their limited numbers, into their greatest strength through technological innovation and imagination. They had turned physics itself into a weapon, and in doing so, changed the galaxy's understanding of what was possible. The Ghosts would continue their vigilant watch, ready to defend humanity with the power of the impossible made real. The Quantum Gambit. Dr. Elena Petrov stood in the heart of Project Prometheus, Earth's most advanced research facility, buried deep beneath the Himalayan mountains. Around her, Quantum processors hummed with calculations that would have been considered impossible just a few years ago. But impossible had become humanity's specialty. "Show me the latest simulation results, ATE," she commanded. The AI's response manifested as a holographic display that filled the cavernous laboratory. It showed the next evolution of human quantum technology, something that would change the nature of space warfare forever. "The quantum field expansion calculations are stable," HFY reported. "Theoretical models suggest we can extend a ship's quantum state to encompass a sphere up to 50,000 kilometers in diameter." Admiral Chen, who had made the journey personally to witness this breakthrough, stepped forward. "And you're certain this will work against the Vex's new countermeasures?" The Empire hadn't been idle after their devastating defeat. Intelligence reports showed they were developing new sensor systems designed to track quantum state vessels, adapting their entire military doctrine to deal with humanity's ghost ships. Their next attack would not be so easily repelled. "That's the beauty of it," Petrov smiled, manipulating the holographic display to show a complex series of equations. "They're trying to detect and counter our current quantum technology. But this is something entirely new. We're not just making our ships quantum capable anymore. We're going to turn space itself into a quantum medium." Commander Reeves, still adjusting to being purely human after so many hours in neural sync with his ship, frowned. "Explain it to someone who isn't a quantum physicist, Doctor." Petrov gestured, and the holographic display shifted to show a simulated space battle. "Currently, our Ghost Fleet ships exist in quantum superposition. They're effectively in multiple states at once, making them nearly impossible to hit or damage. But the Vex are learning to detect the quantum fluctuations this creates. So instead of trying to stay ahead of their detection capabilities, we're changing the game entirely." In the simulation, a single human vessel activated its new quantum drive. A sphere of distorted space expanded around it, encompassing dozens of Vex ships. Within that sphere, the normal laws of physics began to break down. "We're calling it the quantum domain," Petrov continued. "Within it, we control the fundamental forces of reality itself. Enemy weapons fire could be redirected before it's even fired. Their ships could be phased out of normal spacetime entirely. We could even alter the flow of time within the field, giving our forces an insurmountable tactical advantage." "The energy requirements must be enormous," Chen observed. Athena's voice responded. "Current calculations suggest we can power a quantum domain for approximately 17 minutes using a standard antimatter reactor. However, I've developed a method to harvest quantum energy from the distorted spacetime itself, potentially making the field self-sustaining once established." Reeves watched as the simulation showed Vex ships becoming hopelessly entangled in the quantum field, their weapons and shields useless against forces they couldn't comprehend. "How soon can we implement this?" "The prototype generator is ready for testing," Petrov replied. "We've modified the UES Phantom to serve as our test bed. With your permission, Admiral, we'd like to begin field trials immediately." Chen was silent for a long moment, considering the implications. Humanity had already pushed the boundaries of physics with their quantum ships. This would take them even further beyond conventional warfare. But the Vex were coming. Their long-range sensors had detected massive fleet movements at the edges of known space. The Empire was gathering an armada that would dwarf their previous attack force. "Do it," she finally ordered. "But be careful. We're dealing with forces that could tear reality apart if we're not precise in our control." The next 3 weeks were a blur of activity. The Ghost Fleet was recalled to Earth orbit in groups, each ship being fitted with the new quantum field generators. Athena's neural network was upgraded to handle the complex calculations needed to maintain multiple overlapping quantum domains. Human crews underwent intensive training to understand how to operate in spaces where the normal laws of physics were more like guidelines. Then, during the final testing phase, everything changed. "Emergency transmission from the Kuiper Belt monitoring stations," Athena announced, her usually calm voice carrying an edge of urgency. "The Vex fleet has arrived early." Initial count suggests over 15,000 ships, including at least 50 of their super dreadnoughts. Chen's face hardened. How long until they reach firing range? At their current velocity, 47 minutes, they're moving faster than we anticipated, using some form of new drive technology. They're not taking any chances this time, Reeves observed. They're coming in hot, probably planning to overwhelm our quantum ships through sheer numbers before we can react. Then we'll have to show them our new trick ahead of schedule, Petrov said, her fingers flying over control panels. The Phantom's quantum field generator is fully operational. The rest of the fleet has at least basic functionality installed. It won't be pretty, but we can do this. Admiral Chen straightened her uniform and turned to address the assembled command staff. This is what we've prepared for. Humanity's greatest strength has always been our ability to adapt, to imagine new possibilities, to turn scientific theory into practical advantage. The Vex think they've figured us out, that they can counter our quantum ships through brute force and numbers. Let's show them how wrong they are. She opened a channel to all Earth forces, all ships, battle stations, Ghost Fleet, prepare to execute Operation Quantum Storm. Today, we're not just fighting for Earth, we're fighting for the right to push the boundaries of what's possible. The Vex want to conquer us because they think they understand warfare better than we do. Let's show them that humanity's greatest weapon isn't our technology, it's our imagination. As the massive Vex armada approached, humanity's defenders took up their positions. The Ghost Fleet, now armed with technology that could reshape reality itself, prepared to make their stand. The next battle would not just determine the fate of Earth, it would define the future of warfare itself. The quantum gambit was about to begin. Victory among the stars. Space itself seemed to hold its breath as the massive Vex armada approached Earth's defense line. 15,000 ships against humanity's combined fleet of just under 4,000 vessels. On paper, it looked like an impossible fight. But humanity had long since moved beyond what others considered possible. Commander Reeves, neural-linked with both the Phantom and HFY, felt the quantum energy building within his ship's new field generator. Around him, the other 99 ships of the Ghost Fleet prepared to execute the most ambitious military operation in human history. All quantum field generators at 98% charge, HFY reported through the neural link. Simulation models suggest optimal deployment range in 30 seconds. Supreme Commander Krelix, standing aboard a new flagship twice the size of his previous vessel, watched the human fleet with cold satisfaction. They have no chance against our numbers this time. Even their ghost ships cannot be everywhere at once. But Admiral Chen, watching from the bridge of the UES Vigilant, allowed herself a small smile. "That's where you're wrong," she whispered. Then, to all ships, execute Operation Quantum Storm. Ghost Fleet, you have permission to rewrite reality. The Phantom was the first to activate its quantum field generator. Space itself seemed to ripple as a sphere of distorted reality expanded outward, eventually encompassing a volume 50,000 kilometers in diameter. Within seconds, the rest of the Ghost Fleet followed suit. Their quantum fields overlapped and merged, creating a vast network of space where the normal laws of physics no longer applied. Through the neural link, Reeves felt rather than saw the Vex fleet enter the quantum fields. Their ships, designed to operate in normal spacetime, immediately began experiencing effects they couldn't comprehend. Energy weapons fired by Vex vessels curved in impossible arcs, missing their targets entirely. Some ships found themselves moving backward when they tried to advance, or appearing kilometers from their intended positions. "What sorcery is this?" Krelix demanded as his tactical displays showed impossible readings. "They turned space itself against us." Dr. Petrov, monitoring the quantum fields from Earth, watched with satisfaction as her theories proved correct. HFY, begin Phase 2. Let's show them what happens when you try to fight in humanity's domain. Within the quantum fields, time itself became a weapon. Ghost Fleet vessels could accelerate their personal time stream, making them appear to move at impossible speeds from the Vex perspective. Other human ships created temporal echoes, appearing to be in multiple locations simultaneously. But unlike their previous quantum state tricks, these echoes were all equally real, all equally capable of dealing damage. Vex fleet cohesion is breaking down, HFY reported. Their command and control systems cannot compensate for quantum temporal distortions, estimating 60% of their force is now combat ineffective. The battle devolved into chaos, at least from the Vex perspective. For the human forces, guided by HFY's quantum-enhanced consciousness and fighting in space they controlled at the fundamental level, it was more like a carefully choreographed dance. Ghost fleet vessels phased through Vex ships at will, their quantum fields disrupting enemy systems from within. Conventional human warships followed in their wake, delivering killing blows to vessels that could no longer effectively defend themselves. Supreme Commander Galactic watched in horror as his mighty armada was systematically dismantled. Ships that should have been unstoppable were being torn apart by forces he couldn't understand. The humans weren't just fighting their ships, they were fighting with reality itself as their ally. Fleet Master, his tactical officer reported, mandibles clicking in distress. "We've lost contact with the entire third battle group. The quantum distortions are spreading faster than we can retreat. Our faster-than-light drives are. They're not responding correctly. Some ships attempting to jump are appearing closer to the human fleet instead of away." Impossible, Galactic breathed, but he knew that word had lost all meaning when dealing with humans. They had taken everything the Vex understood about warfare, about physics, about the fundamental nature of reality, and turned it upside down. Admiral Chen's voice cut through the chaos of battle, broadcasting on all frequencies. "Supreme Commander Galactic, you have watched us destroy over 10,000 of your ships without losing a single Ghost Fleet vessel. Your remaining ships are trapped within our quantum fields, unable to escape effectively. Surrender now, and we will allow your surviving forces to return home." Galactic's pride warred with his duty to his empire and his crew. Around him, space itself seemed to twist and bend, reality becoming more suggestion than law. His mighty flagship, designed to withstand the combined firepower of entire fleets, was helpless against an enemy that could simply decide that their weapons would pass through his shields, as if they didn't exist. "Perhaps," he finally said, his translator struggling to convey the complex emotions in his voice, "we have been approaching this entirely wrong. We sought to conquer humanity because we believed ourselves superior. But any species that can turn the laws of physics themselves into weapons, such a species cannot be conquered. They can only be understood." "A wise conclusion," Chen replied. "Do we have terms?" The peace negotiations lasted several days, conducted in a neutral zone where the quantum fields had been temporarily withdrawn. The Vex Empire, for the first time in its 1,000-year history, signed a treaty acknowledging another species as its equal. More than that, they agreed to technological and scientific exchange programs, finally admitting that perhaps they had something to learn from the humans they had once dismissed as primitives. Commander Reeves, standing with Admiral Chen and Dr. Petrov at the signing ceremony, watched as human and Vex representatives formalized the new alliance. "Do you think they'll keep their word?" "They don't have much choice," Petrov replied with a slight smile. "We've demonstrated that we can turn their own space against them. More importantly, we've shown them that there's more to discover about the universe than they ever imagined. Their scientists are practically begging for the chance to study our quantum technology. And that," Chen added, "is humanity's true victory. We didn't just defeat them in battle, we opened their minds to new possibilities. Sometimes the best way to defeat an enemy is to turn them into students instead." As the Ghost Fleet resumed its patrol duties, now alongside Vex ships eager to learn and understand, humanity looked to the stars with new confidence. They had faced their first major galactic power and emerged victorious not through overwhelming force, but through innovation, imagination, and the courage to push beyond the boundaries of what others thought possible. The quantum field still shimmered in space around Earth, a reminder to all that humanity would not be underestimated again. They had rewritten the rules of warfare and, in doing so, changed their place in the galaxy forever. The impossible had become their specialty, and the future was bright with possibilities that only they could imagine.